Hello viewers, class 6 viewers. I hope you are home and you are busy revising and getting serious into studies. Now this time today, please welcome to our science lesson, and we're going to continue with our discussion on the blood circulatory system. Very, very important system in the body. Now, last time we ended on the component of blood called blood platelets. The blood platelets, which are also scientifically known as thrombocytes. I told you the importance of thrombocytes, that is blood clotting. And so if there's blood clotting, then there's wound healing. So that component is very, very important. Today, I want us to focus on plasma. Plasma is also a component of blood, and plasma is said to be the liquid part of blood. The liquid component of blood, or the liquid portion of blood, the liquid part of blood is the plasma. Now, blood plasma is also very, very important. If you want to know the plasma when you're given a blood sample, then you can know it by its color. So the color, these are some of the physical properties of plasma. Plasma is pale yellow in color. Pale yellow in color. Now the pale yellow color is the color which is not so yellow, not very yellow, but it has some yellowish particles in it. So the pale yellow color is a color which is like fainted yellow. So the color of plasma is pale yellow in color. And plasma does not have another scientific name as far as our references are concerned, unless they are of very technical and professional application. So it is pale yellow in color. This is the color of plasma. Now, the function plasma is said to be made up of various food nutrients such as protein, iron, and other things. But basically, the function of plasma. What is the function of plasma? The main function of plasma, blood plasma, is this one is plasma also deals with carrying carbon dioxide gas from different tissues. Remember, after respiration, during respiration, that is the burning of food, the food that we eat is burnt so as to release energy. When does this burning take place? The burning takes place in our living tissues. In our bodies, there are tissues or living cells. And therefore, when this burning of the food takes place, one of the products that are normally released is a carbon dioxide gas. So carbon dioxide gas is also said to be carried by plasma from the living cells all the way to the lungs for it to be expired or exhaled or breathed out. So one of the main known functions of plasma is plasma carries carbon dioxide gas, from the living cells, or you can say tissues, because a group of cells make a tissue, from the living tissues, that is after respiration, towards to the lungs. Remember, carbon dioxide gas is not needed in the body. It is therefore given out. Oxygen is mostly needed in the process of respiration. Breathing in, breathing out, oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. So this carbon dioxide is carried by plasma from the living tissues to the lungs. Plasma carries other materials such as food nutrients, but I would like us to stick on this function mostly. This is plasma, the component of blood. Now, after having looked at plasma, which is basically the last component of blood, then I would like us to review some very, very few and important things. There's a point, I will call it a summary, before we go to another part of our discussion, that is the blood vessels. I want us to learn some few things. Now, point number one. If blood has enough oxygen, that is, this blood has circulated and it has passed through the lungs where it picks oxygen, then this blood is said to be oxygenated blood. So this term is very, very important. So point number one to sum up is number one, there's the so-called oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood. So from the word oxygen, you add these few words, oxygenated blood. Now what is oxygenated blood? I said, this is the blood which is richly supplied with oxygen. So say, this is blood. This is their blood, which is richly supplied with oxygen. Now, well, how do you know oxygenated blood? Oxygenated blood can be known by its color. This is the physical property. So what is the color of oxygenated blood? The color here should be bright red. Bright red. Bright red. The shining red. So this kind of blood is said to be oxygenated. It contains a good amount of oxygen. Now, on the other side, when blood does not contain oxygen, it has got carbon dioxide, then this blood is not oxygenated anymore. We call it deoxygenated blood. That is point number 2 to remember. Deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood. So well, what is deoxygenated blood? This is the kind of blood which contains carbon dioxide. So it has carbon dioxide, that is no oxygen. We say that this blood is deoxygenated. It contains, it is richly supplied with carbon dioxide. This is the blood. This is the blood which contains high amount of carbon dioxide. Of carbon dioxide gas. So if this blood contains high amount of carbon dioxide gas, it means it doesn't have enough oxygen, and so we call it deoxygenated blood. Now, this blood can be identified by its color. So the color is not bright red like in oxygenated blood. The color is dark red. So the color of deoxygenated blood is dark red. You have to understand these terms because in our next discussion, we will be talking about blood vessels. There's a part whereby some of the vessels are said to be carrying oxygenated blood and others deoxygenated blood. So this concept is very, very important. Now, point number 3. In this point, let us talk about the amount of white blood cells and red blood cells when this amount is compared. In a given blood sample, it is said that the ratio of white blood cells to red blood cells in terms of numbers is as follows, and I want you to follow it. It is confusing, and most of the learners confuse this concept. Now, the ratio of, very, very important, the ratio of white blood cells to red blood cells is, now this is in terms of numbers. So we say the ratio is 1:600. 1:600. This point, dear learners, is very, very important. And such a question is common in exams. So, what does it mean? To make a ratio, you compare two things or quantities of the same units. So we're talking about the number of white blood cells to that of red blood cells. Now, in writing the ratio, as you can see, I started with 1, the ratio 600. So irrespective of the arrangement, okay, as far as the sentence, the ratio of white blood cells to red blood cells, which means 1:600. 1 represents number of white blood cells, and the 600 represents number of red blood cells, which means for every 600 red blood cells you can count in blood, there's only one white blood cell. Let me repeat this. For every 600 red blood cells in a blood sample, there is only one white blood cell. That is the point. Which tells us, therefore, there are so many red blood cells compared to white blood cells, but all of them are important in the function they do. This is very, very important. So the vice versa is true, which is to say, therefore, I'll make it as point number 4, or the same. The ratio, therefore, I said the vice versa is true. The ratio of red blood cells to white blood cells, the white blood cells is that will be the vice versa, 600 to 1, which actually has the same meaning. That is, for every 600 cells in the blood sample, there's only one, which gives us this kind of interesting numbers. But this fact is very, very important, and I don't want you to forget it. Very important. Now, the other point, summary point to be made here is point number 5. The scientific name of red blood cells should be the erythrocyte. Very, very important. Scientific name of red blood cells. Red blood cells is erythrocytes. Erythrocytes. Spelling is very, very important. Scientists should not misspell words because they might give a different meaning. So the scientific name of red blood cells is erythrocytes. And that of white blood cells, the scientific name of white blood cells is scientific name of white blood cells. White blood cells is the leukocytes. 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 Remember, the leuko has C and not K. Leukocytes. Number 7, the scientific name of blood platelets. Some people call them platelets. Scientific name of blood platelets. Blood platelets which are very, very important in blood clotting is thrombocytes. Thrombocytes. Thrombocytes, very, very important. Now, these terms are very, very important to be known because we'll be using them in our discussion. So, you really have to remember erythrocytes for red blood cells, leukocytes for the white blood cells, arming the body. Then we go to the thrombocytes, which are blood platelets. Now, sometimes in our textbooks or our references that we read, the blood cells are known as corpuscles. Blood cells are called corpuscles. This is another point. So blood cells, I'll add it as point number 8, are also called corpuscles. Corpuscles. Or point number 8, which is very, very important. Blood cells. I'm very specific here to blood cells. There are different types of cells. Blood cells are also known as we can also call them corpuscles, blood corpuscles. Corpuscles. Some people call them corpuscles, corpuscles. These ones here. So the blood cells are also known as the corpuscles. So we have the red corpuscles, the white corpuscles, that way. I do believe this is understood. Now, our next discussion will be on blood vessels, the blood vessels. As I told you in the previous lesson, blood does not flow randomly. There must be specific things, specific items in which blood flows. And so, to know these blood vessels, we call them blood vessels, we will have to discuss this next time in our lesson. I prefer to discuss it next time so that you understand one particular concept well. So when you go to the next concept, you understand it better. After having discussed these few items, it is my sincere hope that we have covered a lot, and so I really have to give you a few questions for you to practice whatever we have learned. And I call it an exercise. You do it in your exercise book. This is very, very important. So exercise. Exercise number 1. Okay, my instruction is fill in the blank spaces. Fill in the blank spaces. Question number 1. Now, don't forget, during answering, you have to give your answers to very correct spelling. Spelling is very important to be observed. Question number 1. Blood. Blood is a fluid dash which is red in color. Red in color. Question number 2. The function of blood. The function of blood, among others, the function of blood is to carry dash, and dash. Only 3 things that can be carried in blood. I want you to mention them and dash. 2 different parts of the body. Different parts of the body. That is question number 2. Question number 3 says, Very fast. It says, okay. It says, 4 components of blood are 4 main components of blood. 4 main components of blood are dash, 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 and dash. That is number 3. Question number 4 says, someone says, the blood circulatory system, the blood circulatory system, the blood circulatory system is made up of. So in question number 4, you tell me 3 components of the blood circulatory system. This, and the third one. Please refer to your notes. It is very, very important. You don't answer the questions from nowhere. Question number 5 says, dash blood cells are scientifically known as erythrocytes. Question number 6 says, the scientific name of blood platelets is, okay, so the scientific name of blood platelets is dash dash. Now from number 7, you answer the questions. Answer the question from number 7. Answer the question by either telling the meaning or defining, of course, which is telling the meaning, or listing or explaining. Answer the following question. Thank you so much. Okay, number 7. What is hemoglobin? What is hemoglobin? Or you call it hemoglobin. What is hemoglobin? Number 2. Mention the 2 components of hemoglobin. Excuse me. Mention the 2 components of hemoglobin. Mention the two components of hemoglobin. Meaning that what make hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is made up of what or not? There are 2 things. That is 1. Mention the 2 components of hemoglobin. Then we have only 10 questions. Question number 9 says, very, very important question. Write down the function of white blood cell. White blood cells. And concluding the exercise is question number 10, which says, I hope this can be seen, which says, what is the ratio of leukocytes to that of erythrocytes? right? What is the ratio of leukocytes to that of erythrocytes in terms of numbers? After having written the exercise, I will thank you so very much for paying attention and joining me in this session. Until next time, bye-bye.